Alright guys, how are we doing today? Steve Mingleco, Final Web Design. Today I want to talk about what is happening with web development in 2022 in this post 2020 situation that we've all been through, and just kind of where the market's at with websites, what people are using, where things are going, what the jobs are like, the prices behind stuff, the technology is being used. So it's a lot to take in, and I think within the web development community, we are kind of hitting a pinnacle of technology and things that are going to be needed going forward. Now, people might start to bring up, Web 3, and you should start to get more involved with the blockchain and technologies like that. And don't get me wrong, I do think that those are important. However, I think for the 95% of businesses and people out there, basically the technology behind Web 2.0 or just basic responsive mobile friendly websites is really where things are going to be and where they're at and where they're going to stay. We are not seeing a lot of new technologies that are being needed in this day and age because we've kind of hit that pinnacle of everything that's being trying to be accomplished. You have your CMS platforms that have really kind of stood out now as far as the WordPress, WordPress. I would say WordPress has really kind of taken the charm. Guys, this is the Mississippi River. Beautiful, huh? Want to do this one walking today because I just get out of the office Sunday. But we're seeing that WordPress has really taken over the whole CMS market and where web platforms need to go. Now, if you're getting into e-commerce, for most small businesses, you might find a Shopify platform. And I would say between those two, that's where we're at in 2022. I don't see other platforms, the Joomlas, the Drupals, the Magentos. It's just not practical. You know how few projects like that I come across anymore? Rare, very, very rare. Almost everything I'm handed is a WordPress, or if it is an application type software, it could be something such as a React or a Vue.js application. And these have kind of become the more popular technologies. So with that being said, I really think as far as for web and applications, if you're staying in the world of WordPress and the applications of the React and the Vues, I wouldn't even say Angular anymore, because again, I'm really focused on what, in my experience, am I seeing 90% of our users use. And I would say that 90% of our users are using a WordPress or React or a Vue.js for application development. And that's where it's at. And that's where it's been at now for 3 to 4 years. Really, guys, what other, web type technologies are you guys, maybe leave a couple comments, seeing out there these days? But from a corporate level to a small business level, I think you can pretty much accomplish almost anything with those technologies. Now, what do those technologies involve? Same old school languages that have been being used in web development for years. You have your HTML, you have your CSS, and you have your JavaScript. These are all being used on the front end, and these are continuing to be the most popular and the most used languages these days. Now, if you're getting into JavaScript, obviously you're going to want to learn those other frameworks that are out there. But you can do all this in steps. Not everything has to be conquered overnight. So I don't know if you're looking to get into web development in 2022 or just trying to get a feel of where the market's going. But I would say that as far as the technologies and the software is being used, we've hit a pinnacle. And I just kind of went over where all of those pinnacle technologies are. So why don't we talk about where are the prices, the salaries, all of the information behind where an actual web developer is. So as you guys probably know, I've been running a web business for 10, 12 years. It's out of Miami, Florida, but honestly, I travel all the time, as you can see. Today I'm up in Minneapolis. But what I could say is that the prices and the jobs, so let's break both of those down. First of all, as far as the jobs themselves, let's understand that over the course of the last few months, there have been some difficult situations that we have had to deal with as far as jobs being cut back in a lot of the tech field. Now, what are some of those tech industries? It's the FANG corporations, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Amazons. You know, those big corporations have been taking a slight cutback in the number of people they're hiring. What does that mean for everybody else? It really doesn't mean too much. There is still an abundance of jobs available out there for the people who want to go out there and get them. Now, obviously, some of those people who are getting hired at the Facebooks, at the Twitters, at the Ubers, they were, they got in there because they're good. They could pass the good coding exams. They could get the interviews. They were making good salaries. So those people will be out there, and maybe they will be approaching more of the mom and pops or more of the small businesses that are out there. But it doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Is because there's still far, far more jobs available out there than there are people to fill them. At least when we're talking about IT, technology, things like that. So yes, the job market has taken a hit. The job market is not doing as well as it was doing several months ago. We all know that. That's with every industry. That's with the whole economy, the stock market, crypto, you want to name it. Everything's taking a hit. But where is that going to be in the future? I don't think it's really going to matter for the majority of people in the IT web application development field. And the reason it's not going to affect us is because, again, there's just more people that need these technologies than the people that they can find. At least good people. And you don't have to be the best coder, the best developer. But it's hard to even find people with basic understanding of code and applications, UI, UX, how things function, servers, emails. I mean, all these things kind of come together, as you know, to make yourself a really good web application IT person. So the jobs are going to be there. Now, what are the salaries? Well, let's just say the salaries are still great. In fact, I would say, at least lately, I don't really apply to too many jobs because obviously I have my full-time corporation. Sometimes I like to go out there and see. Sometimes I like to do an interview or two just to kind of stay fresh and see what's happening out there. But I've been seeing positions that used to be 85 a year, 120, 150. I mean, it's pretty crazy, but it seems like the salaries are going up because I think after the whole 2020 global situation that we all went through, I don't even like to say it here, but everybody knows what we're talking about. I think a lot of people in the IT and web development industry are like, look, I've been working remote for 6 months. Everything that we do as an industry, whether it is utilizing like Slack or Microsoft Teams or whichever software, Jira's and Asana's, and we don't need to be in the office. In fact, for me, I'll never go back into another office in my life. And there's a lot of different reasons that I won't. But the number one is that in this industry and kind of what we're doing, it's not necessary. Now, I do hear other big, tech entrepreneurs and stuff, such as the Elon Musk and stuff, have mentioned going back to the office. And I get it. He's a super workaholic. He probably expects similar. He sleeps at his office, so you can't expect too much from that. And I have nothing wrong with it. If a company wants their employees back, they're going to have to take the losses with the wins. So if people leave, they're just going to have to try to fill those positions with either equally as talented people, and sometimes that's hard to do. So maybe some of his positions and some of his developers and his team, he would actually keep remote, who knows. But at the end of the day, I can say that a majority of people in our position do not want to go back into the office. We have no desire to go back into the office. You can say what you want. Some people like it, and hey, if you like it, go for it. In fact, a lot of the jobs that I've actually worked, I mean, they like some of the bigger corporate application stuff like United Healthcare and such, some of these big firms, you know, it was just a desk with like 3 monitors and a standing desk, and there was no assigned office. Like, you could come and go. Half the people were in New York, half were in California, some were, you know, in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area. So it's always been like that for me. So for me to like look at, hey, time to come back in, it's like, for what? For what? Like, what we do, if you're good at what you do, that's irrelevant. They might have a timeline. You hit that timeline. You don't mess up on that timeline. You want to make sure that you're there, getting the work done, maybe even getting the work done faster and quicker. But at the same time, you don't want to be going back to the office. I don't want to, at least. I like being a digital nomad. Sometimes, you know, I can code till 4 in the morning. Sometimes I can only code till 4 in the afternoon. But I want to have that flexibility so that I can put out the best work. And that's what I expect from our employees too. At least at our company. I mean, we are headquartered in Miami, Florida. Most of our employees are in Miami, Florida. But I have no problem letting a majority of my work staff, you know, from their hometown state, from their home in Florida, whatever makes them happy. It doesn't affect our business. In fact, we're only growing every day. And as long as we continue to grow, I have no problem keeping people comfortable. I know they have kids. I know they have to clean their house and their laundry and get to personal events and things like that. That's fine. I just know if they're working hard for me, then we don't have any problems with any of that. So with that being said, I just kind of wanted today to kind of take a review of where are we in web development right now. And I know this is just kind of a big, broad overview of web development and kind of what's happened in maybe the last 6 months after the last 2 years. So as things have gone back to normal, if you want to call it normal. But at the end of the day, the jobs are out there, the money's out there. The technologies aren't getting any harder. They're staying pretty much the same. Now, if you want to get into blockchains and you want to get into Web3s and you want to get into, I get it. That stuff is changing, and that could still be something in the future. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying today it's not the practical skills that most small, medium, and large-sized businesses are looking for. The majority is the WordPress, small CMS platform development, and then at the corporate level, it's the React, Vue, JavaScript frameworks. So guys, you know, I just wanted to kind of take a minute on my walk here to talk about where we are as a web development industry in 2022 here and coming into July. I think the future is nothing but great. I'm always very optimistic about this market because at the end of the day, I just can't think of a market that is evolving and growing as much as technology as, I mean, there's nothing. And it's so fun to be a part of all this innovation. And no, we don't want to be left behind. We don't want to become the DVD or the Blockbuster or, you know, these technologies that go away. So staying innovative is what I'm trying to do here and teach you guys where you need to be here in 2022 so that you can get those skills to go land a good job, so you can learn those programming languages to you know, build a good career for yourself and find good employment. So if you guys like this video, a like, a subscribe, that stuff helps. It's really appreciated. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.